Hi friends, welcome back to my Cozy Crafty Cabin. My name is Rayanne. So for day 5 of my 12 Days of Christmas in July at Crafty series, I'm going to be sharing 5 different clean and simple, quick and easy ways to package some holiday treats. So I have hot cocoa, of course, some box M&Ms, some mini Hershey bars, some mini Kit Kats, and some chocolate mints. So we'll start with what is probably the easiest and most simple holiday treat, which are these box M&M candies. I have plain, peanut butter, and peanut M&Ms. Now the plain and peanut butter boxes are the same size, but the peanut M&Ms are slightly bigger. The box is about like 7/8 of an inch deep, while the plain and peanut butter ones are about 3/4 inches deep. So we'll just adjust our measurements accordingly. But all I'm going to do is basically create like a large sleeve that wraps around the entire width of the candy boxes. And then I just use a scrap to make a cute paper bow to embellish the box. But you can embellish, these however you like. So for the plain and peanut butter M&Ms, you will need a piece of paper that measures 6 by 7 inches. And for the peanut M&Ms, you'll need a piece that measures 6 by 7 and 1/4 inches. And I'll be using paper from this 6 by 8 paper pad I had in my stash that was purchased from Joann's. So once you cut your paper down, on the 7-inch side, you're going to score at 1 1/4, 2, 4 1/4, and 5 1/4 inches. This is for our plain and peanut butter sleeves. Now for the peanut M&M sleeve, on the 7 1/4 inch side, you're going to score at 1 1/8, 2, 4 1/2, and 5 3/8 inches. Then all there is to do is fold down on your score lines and wrap the sleeve around your candy box. You're going to add some adhesive along the edge where the papers overlap at the back of the sleeve, and that's it. The sleeve is nice and snug, but the candy can still slide in and out, which is nice. And I like that you can see the top and bottom of the box, so like what type of candy it is visible, and also the expiration date is visible. Now, I recently made some paper bows using my Fiskars gifting board for the first time, but I thought I'd try to make some bows with like the leftover scraps from when we cut down our sleeves and just use scissors rather than my punch board to show you how you can make them if you don't have an envelope punch board. Because basically all I'm doing with the punch board is using that envelope punch to cut out notches to make the bows. So I keep this part in real time so that hopefully you can see, clearly what to do. It's very, very simple. I first fold my paper in half, and on the folded end, you're going to cut out at an angle. You're going to cut at each corner at an angle, kind of like you're making a tag. And then I go back and clean up my corners since my initial cuts weren't very symmetrical. It doesn't need to be perfect though. And then on the opposite end where your paper opens, I cut out, I think it's called like a fishtail, where I first make like a small cut down the middle of the paper, and then I meet that point, by cutting, starting at the corner, the bottom and top corner, until I meet that point where I cut down the middle. Then next I fold my paper in half again, but I stopped where that point is of the triangle we cut out when we made that fishtail cut. And on the folded end of the paper, you're simply just going to cut the corners at an angle again. So what we did with our first cuts, right? So you're basically cutting out like a small triangle. And then when you unfold your paper, you can assemble your bow. And I also like to wrap ribbon or twine around the middle of the bow, and then I just put like a piece of foam tape on the back. But I hope that was helpful to see, and hopefully it was clear. Okay, so next we're going to make some clean and simple hot cocoa pouches. So we'll be using a small standard envelope and just 2 pieces of paper that measure 8 by 2 inches. First, you want to seal your envelope, and then we're just trimming off a tiny bit so that it's about 6 1/4 inches long. That creates our like top pocket of our pouches where we will slide in our hot cocoa. So once you make that just one cut, then all you need to do is score at 4 inches along the 6 1/4 inch side. Now, and my scoreboard goes from like right to left, which I think is like the opposite of probably most scoreboards. So I need to lay my envelope so that the opening we made is on the right. But if your scoreboard, works from left to right, you'll score at 4 inches with the opening of the envelope on your left. I hope that makes sense. Then when we fold our score line, on our score line, this creates like another little pocket on our pouches. So all that's left to do is glue down our 2 strips that measure 2 by 8 inches. So one you will glue down along like that top edge, and the other I just center around that bottom flap to create our pocket. I first slide in the cocoa inside the envelope, and then I just center my papers on the envelope and like gently fold over on both sides. And then I just add adhesive along the edge where the paper overlaps on the back. But you might want to add like a little adhesive, behind the paper as well before you glue it down, so it's not like sliding as much. So since it's July, I don't have any candy canes, but normally I would add like a mini candy cane to the front little pocket, but instead I added just one of these chocolate mints. I think a gift card would be a really great idea too, that you could tuck in. Now, I kept these super simple and I didn't end up adding like any other embellishments, but I think like a cut apart or a little tag would be really cute and just a simple way to embellish these pouches. Then I just wanted to show you a cute and simple way you could package these if you'd like. So I have these 4x6 clear cello bags, which is like a perfect size for these. I simply just slide the pouch inside, and I took a scrap from the paper pad and just added a quick topper, and that was it. Next, we're going to make these cute little like mini treat pockets. These are chocolate mints, which are so yummy. I picked them up from the Dollar Tree, but I'm sure you can buy them at like the grocery store too. But all you need for these little pockets is a piece of paper that measures 3.5 by 5 inches, and then a strip that measures 1 by 8 inches. And I'll be using the 6 by 8 paper pad again. So this pocket is super quick and easy. You'll take your 3.5 by 5 inch piece, and on the 5-inch side, you're going to score it at 3 and 3 1/4 inches. And this creates that bottom spine to just like hold our chocolate candies. Now this paper I use is directional, and this like the snowman side. So I decided to have the snowman pattern be the inside of my pocket and the dotted side be the outside, so that the snowmen aren't upside down. And to create our pocket now, you're just going to take that 1 by 8 inch strip, and we're just going to wrap it around that bottom folded piece that we created. And then I like to place the mints like inside the pocket when I do this, just to make sure that I don't make it too snug. But yeah, that's it. Now you can do a simple packaging with these too by just sliding them into a 4x6 clear cello bag and adding a little topper like we did for the cocoa pouches. So next we're gonna make some really simple matchbook style treat holders, and I put some mini Kit Kats in mine, and it holds 2 Kit Kats. So all you will need for these is a piece of paper that measures 4 by 8 inches, and on the 8-inch side you're gonna score at 3/4 to 5 and 5.5 inches. So once I decide which side I want to be the outside of my matchbook and which side I want to be the inside, I then start folding down on my score lines. Now that 3/4 inch score line that we made, that's going to get folded over so that it's showing on, like the reverse is showing on the covers of our matchbooks. And basically I just wanted that bottom flap of the matchbook to be like extra sturdy. I then like to round the corners for that top piece that will be like the cover of our matchbooks, and then I just add 2 staples to the bottom to create our matchbook. So one on the far right and the other on the far left edge, and then your matchbook is basically assembled. So you can slide in the 2 mini Kit Kat bars and it's actually fairly snug. But if I was like going to be selling these or like putting these in a stocking, I would probably add a little adhesive or like a glue dot to the back of the Kit Kats just to secure them so that they didn't fall out. Okay, lastly, we're gonna wrap some mini Hershey's. So I'm sure you've seen and probably have made the cute like Hershey nugget packs that we all make for Christmas time. I didn't have nuggets on hand, but I thought I would use like that kind of method for some mini like Hershey's. And specifically, I got some mini Mr. Good bars because those are my favorite. Um, but all you will need for these are some papers that measure 1 1/4 by 3 inches. So those are what we'll use to wrap our Hershey bars. And so I'm doing 4 little Hershey's altogether. And then I'm using a strip of cardstock that measures 1 3/4 inches by 7 inches, and you're going to score it at 1/4 inch on each end on that 1 3/4 inch side, and this will create just like a little tray to slide our Hershey bars in when we go to package them up. So it's super easy. We're just going to wrap those 1 1/4 by 3 inch like pieces of paper around our candies, and I just use Scotch tape to adhere these down. Now I have these clear cello bags that measure, I think they're like 2 by 9.5 inches or so, and I actually use these when I make chocolate covered pretzel favors. So I have a bunch of them, so this is just what I use to package the mini Hershey bars. I think you could probably fit 5 little candies in here altogether, but I just decided to do 4. So here are the 5 different holiday treats we made. Super simple and easy, but I think they make great stocking stuffers and also just like little treats to give out to neighbors, coworkers, teachers, your kids' class, that kind of thing, anyone really. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting my channel. I'll have my playlist for my 12 Days of Christmas in July series linked in my description in case you missed any of my other videos for the series so far. But next up is day 6, and I'm going to be sharing 6 different ways to make like notebooks or notepads. So stay cozy, and I'll see you soon.